Greatest losers of all time. The hunt for the gloat, if you wish. Unlucky or just not good enough during that specific season. To call these drivers the greatest losers is actually very harsh. Yes, finishing second is, in all fairness, the first loser. And that is what this list is all about, finishing second in the World Drivers' Championship. But no driver on this list, or frankly any driver that has ever managed to qualify for a super license, can be called a loser by any sane person. So please, take this video's title with a grain of salt and a teaspoon of humor, as we hunt for the driver with the most second places in World Drivers' Championship history. For this list, I'm including all drivers, those that won titles as well, mainly because I was wondering who were the Formula 1 drivers that finished second in the title race the most times. Disclaimer, when drivers are tied, I give the lower ranking to the driver with the fewer World Drivers' Championships actually won. For example, if a driver with 2 runner-ups and 1 title win is tied with a driver with 2 runner-ups and 2 title wins, the driver who has 2 title wins will rank, for example, 5th. The one with 1 title win will rank 4th. With that out of the way, let's talk about the 8 most World Drivers' Championship runner-ups. Number 8. Lewis Hamilton. 3 times the British GOAT finished runner-up in the title race. 2007, 16 and 21. Who beat him? In 07, the Iceman, Kimi Räikkönen. In 16 was the famous year when Nico Rosberg beat Hamilton in equal machinery and immediately buggered off into retirement. And in 2021 it was the prince of all things orange himself that maxed out in the standings to beat Sir Lewis. Of course, the man also won 7 World Drivers titles. 6 if your name is Massa and you get asked this question, which makes it all the more amazing. He could, with a small amount of good fortune, have won the title 10 times. As not a Lewis fan myself, I have to submit, like Israel Adesanya to Dricus du Plessis' choke, and admit to being hugely impressed by the man's achievements in Formula 1. Number 7. Michael Schumacher, well, the other 7-time GOAT. 97, 98 and 2006. Okay, I know, before you pop a gasket or something, technically the maker of shoes was disqualified from the 1997 World Drivers' Championship after taking himself out at Jerez in a rather clumsy attempt to take Villeneuve out. But he did score the second most points that year behind Villeneuve. So, since this is my list and not the FIA's, I'm including him.
Capiche?
Also a 7-time champion, Schumi was beaten by Villeneuve in 97 before being disqualified, as I said, for his less than sportsmanlike behavior. He lost to Häkkinen in 98 and to Alonso in 2006. Interestingly, he was looking good for a proper go at the title in 1999 before crashing and injuring himself badly enough that Ferrari backed teammate Irvine to challenge Mika Häkkinen, leading to Irvine finishing second in that year's title race. Number 6. Sebastian Vettel. 2009, Vettel drove the Red Bull to second behind shock champion Jenson Button. Then he won 4 titles in a row before leaving Red Bull to make Ferrari great again and coming so close twice before spinning off into the sunset. In 2017 and 18 it was Lewis Hamilton that beat him to the title, and Vettel was seen by many as the man to end Mercedes' dominance, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. And when he struggled mightily with the Ferrari in what turned out to be his last season with the team, which led to many memes and spinning jokes, the man left for a final go at Stroll's green machine before climbing on his scooter and riding off into the sunset. Number 5. Fernando Alonso. 2010, 12 and 13, you knew he would feature on this list. The man is a legend, 2-time World Drivers' Championship winner, and managed to take Ferrari to the very brink of winning the thing 3 times. Unfortunately, it was not to be, and he could probably have won it in 2007 as well if McLaren had chosen to back him instead of allowing Alonso and Hamilton to fight for the title, which pretty much ended up giving it to Kimi in the end.
Thing was holding me back.
probably the unluckiest elite driver on the grid, Alonso rejoined Renault when they were on a downward spiral, left Ferrari at the wrong time to rejoin McLaren at the worst time. For Ferrari in 2014 he scored 161 points. For McLaren in 2015 he managed 11.
I like it.
Graham Hill, 1963, 64 and 65. Why is Hill ranked 5th and Alonso 6th? Because Hill had a son called Damon, who himself also finished runner-up in the World Drivers' Championship twice in 94 and 95. So by having great gloat genes, the man qualifies higher on this list. I firmly believe that it was a huge missed opportunity that Graham Hill was never cast as a villain in a James Bond film.
You amuse me, Mr. Bond. Well, it's not mutual.
Look at the man. Look at that mustache. Look at that attitude. He looks like he was planning to take over the world while winning one of his 2 World Drivers titles. Personal conspiracy theories aside though, Hill was one of the all-time greats. 2 World Drivers titles while racing against the likes of Sir Jackie Stewart and Jim Clark, both GOAT contenders themselves. In 63 it was Jim Clark who beat Hill, in 64 it was John Surtees, and in 65 it was Jim Clark once more, to hand Graham Hill the very unwanted runner-up hat-trick and 5th place on this list, which he undoubtedly would not have cared about until it drove him over the edge and made him become a James Bond villain. Or maybe not. Number 3, Nigel Mansell, 1986, 87 and 91. The greatest mustache in the history of Formula One came so close and almost retired without winning a driver's title. Only the persistence of Frank Williams, ironically also the man that sacked him for Prost after the 92 season, had Mansell back in the Williams from Ferrari and finishing 2nd to Senna in 91 before winning the thing in 92. In 86 he was beaten by Prost, and in 87 it was Piquet, meaning that the man had been beaten to 2nd place in the title by winners of 4 titles in Prost, 3 titles in Piquet, and another 3 in Senna. Pretty decent pedigree if you had to be beaten by someone. The man called Il Leone by Italian fans was a huge fan favorite, but by the time he attempted his comeback at McLaren after his IndyCar stint, he was just huge and reportedly couldn't fit in the car, leading to his retirement from Formula One and a podium place on this most prestigious of lists, which surely is something to gloat about. Number 2, Alain Prost. 4 times, 83, 84, 88 and 1990. 4 times the man finished runner-up, and 4 times he actually won the title. And still today he seems like the Rodney Dangerfield of Formula One.
Well, that's the story of my life. No respect. No respect.
Prost has always been underrated. I know the list is called greatest losers of all time, but again I say that is only meant tongue-in-cheek. Any one of the drivers on this list has a strong case to be included in the greatest 25 of all time, and Prost, I believe, is a candidate for one of the greatest. The man won 4 titles while facing Senna, Piquet, Lauda, Mansell, Hill and Schumacher. All of them winners of 2 or more titles themselves. He was actually teammates with Senna, Lauda, Mansell and Hill. In 1983, Prost was beaten by Piquet. In 84 by teammate Lauda by half a point. In 88 he just lost to Senna despite scoring more points than Senna over the course of the season, but being done in by a stupid rule that said not all races counted towards the championship. In 1990 he once again finished runner-up to Senna, but this time he drove a Ferrari to Senna's McLaren. Number 1, Stirling Moss. Also runner-up 4 times, but never able to win the title. 1955, 56, 57 and 58. Probably the greatest driver to never win the World Drivers' Championship. In the early days of the sport, the Brit was brilliant, but never could finish higher than 2nd in the title race. In 55, 56 and 57, it was possibly the greatest driver in history, Juan Manuel Fangio, who beat Moss, and in 1958 the young Mike Hawthorne became the first British champion, driving his Ferrari to glory with Moss stuck as the 4-time consecutive runner-up and winner of the very much unwanted title as winner of the most runner-up spots in Formula 1 history without winning the title. Stirling Moss was no loser. Like every other driver on this list, he's a legend and one of the greatest drivers to ever hold a steering wheel. He came so close, but when faced with legends like Fangio, no one could have done a better job than the man called Moss. And with that, we have reached the end of this list. I hope you enjoyed it enough to consider subscribing and sharing our content. Join us for new content every week. God bless and goodbye.